I want to build the world's largest sculpture park. I haven't figured out how to do it, and I really don't have time. They steal it, they copy it, they shoot it, they do graffiti on it, they litter on it, they drive on the lawn, they run into the yard, they badmouth it on the way out. I said, pull the pin there. Put your foot right there.
Right where?
On that step.
For what? Where are you at?
Hidden in the woods. Out there, the last house on the left. Dead end road.
Hey everybody, I am in Oklahoma here to interview an artist and someone who has created the largest sculpture, metal sculpture park in Oklahoma, maybe the largest sculpture park in Oklahoma by any medium. I'm going to talk to him. I'm going to find out a little bit about him, what brought him to doing this. I'm going to show you the park. Let's go. So I didn't tell you, but he's a private gentleman, so we know him as the Western Welder, and I think he's come to the point where this used to be a private collection that he made for himself that now he wants to share with the world, and that's what I'm here for, and to hear his story. So let's see what he has to say.
I spent 5 or 6 years on it. I started with framework, and when I got ahead a little bit, I'd go back and add some more.
Did you build this house?
I had a bunch of helpers.
Yeah.
I had somebody help with the tile, cement, but I designed it, hired the crew.
What do you want people to know you as? Western Welder?
Western Welder. I spent years on that house. If I started building the world's largest sculpture park, I'd spend the rest of my life doing it. But I got the plan up here. I need a place to lay it out, $100 million, and I figure that's a pretty good price for the world's largest sculpture park.
All right, there we go.
Oh, okay.
Is that all right?
I'm new to this.
You're new to this? Just gonna keep you in the picture, and we're gonna take a ride.
Yeah, I wish the place was in better shape. I don't have the lawn like where I want it, but I've been busy the last 2 years looking after Mom, and I haven't really had time to take care of the little things or keep it all trimmed up. I put an electric line down this trail years ago, and I thought, well, heck, I got the trail going all the way up here, why not loop it around? But it needs cleaning up. I did them. That's something I did back in 73 or 74. That little guy's when I started my career on him. That was my biggest piece. Now I just got the woods full of them here. Here's one.
Where do you get the inspiration for some of these?
Look at the stuff that I've got. You know, usually I build things out of, I'll have a particular, watch your face here, particular piece of metal or something, and I'll look at it and go, well, if I add this to it, then I end up with something like this piece right here. It's being grown into, but sitting on a round base there, and it's just, God, the woods are claiming it. I call this one cheap love. The parking meter. It's got a little love seat with limited time.
I like that one.
And here's one that a friend of mine, a guy named Robert Maker, he's a pretty prominent artist, he made that. And he sold it to a friend of ours, a mutual friend, and said he wanted to put that up. He wanted it put out where birds could make a nest in the thorny crown.
Oh yeah.
That's God as a female, Jesus in a female form. And my friend Bart set it up, but he never got a bird in the crown. And when he passed on, I ended up with it. And there's a mailbox I made it for my friend Bart. When he died, I got it back. He lived up in a little small town, and he had the weirdest mailbox in town. Now, way up in the panhandle of Oklahoma, I was up there one day doing bagging. I went cruising around the country and I found an old abandoned farm site in the middle of nowhere. I found some pieces there. And I called that sculpture Snaggletooth and his son.
Snaggletooth.
Kind of like an Afghan over there. Before social networking, I didn't have a secretary, so I built this sculpture. I put it on the front door, one on your right.
I'll read what you wrote.
I got quite a few pieces of paper stuck all over that.
How long does it take you to finish the average one? I mean, it's that welding. Can you do that?
Oh, I do. Some of them take years.
Years.
So I start on something and I'll put two pieces together and set them over here because it'll look cool. And then all of a sudden I'll find the piece that finishes it off.
And
that took 10 minutes. I just grabbed stuff and stuck it together. It needs to be balanced. Needs to have a good solid base on it so it won't fall over.
So how long have you been doing this? I mean, when did you start welding these creations?
Back in 72, I think. Yeah, I went to welding school.
And was that a common thing for people to make art out of welding? With welding?
No, I live in Oklahoma. I have to hide out or people they call me crazy anyway.
Do they?
Yeah, I guess because I went over to Nam and gained an insightful attitude about the world. Now on your right here, that's a pecan cracker. Put a little plate in that bottom circle to catch them.
Okay.
And you put a pecan in the hole and then you flip that handle like you want to do it. Grab a hold of that handle and pull it this way and it'll slip out of your fingers.
Grab a hold of it. Which one's the handle? This here?
Snap it. No, I'm top. I'm just here.
Oh, gotcha.
Put your nut in there and crack it.
Hey, that's effective.
Nutcracker. A buddy came by and brought me those 3 circles one time, came off an oil reel. Another guy gave me the seat, and the very base I found at the scrap yard. Anyway.
Is that a place you'd find a lot of the things you use? Scrap yard?
This scrap yards. And
did you do this before Vietnam?
I went through the oil boom. I was doing art, and then the oil boom come along.
Mm-hmm.
All kinds of big pieces of metal. I made 2 of those. I used one, and I saved that for later.
That's neat.
It's just stuck in the ground. But like I tell people, I got the biggest private sculpture park in the state and have been found by the aeronautical community. Now, I've had a little problem down then with them coming out here and hovering around the airplanes. They get down real low and it gets real noisy.
Really? So they're flying over, they catch it and decide they want to take a look.
And they come down. I was in the garage with a buddy one time, the painter that painted that. We're making a piece of art and we heard a dragster coming up the driveway. So he went out one side, I went out the other side. We met in the front, looked at each other, no dragster. What the heck? So he came around the back, bomb, you could hear it. And I looked up, and a little Cessna 150 hanging there, flaps all the way down, 50 mile an hour south wind, heading south, hanging there, and he waved at us. And I thought, if you slip out of that stall, you're going to tail first in my garage.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And helicopters with machine gun guys hanging out the side. I luckily wasn't here. I was out buying parts with my wife at the time, and the floor guy were working, and they were at our blah blah guys hanging out with automatic rifles. They were DEA, I'm sure. Every once in a while, I built that piece for a client who paid me a third down. It wasn't in any hurry, and I wasn't sure. It took a year and a half to do that one, and he gave me another third, and then he come by and he said, well, I'll pay you the rest after you, 30 days after delivered. I said, no, cash up front. He never paid for it.
So around what year did you start? Did that first project you showed me? When did you do that first?
Oh, I got out of the Army in 72, 71. Take it back, 71. I started in 72. I bought a little torch, made a little table, and started brazing things together.
No.
I made belt buckles, candle holders, and jewelry. And then I made that piece over there. It's a little bigger. And I didn't study art. I didn't know that much about since I got into this, I started finding out about some of the great artists around, like Picasso and Dali. Man, I saw his museum down in Fort Lauderdale, and I saw an art show in Bogota. They had Dali, Picasso, and Botero all in one art show.
What brought you to Bogota?
Pretty girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went there to get married. No, we got married in Cali. We went there to get her papers and all that, to get her passport and everything. After we got married, it's kind of a pain in the butt. But I went down there, we got married in Cali. Cali's in a valley. And we got married in the Hotel Metropolis right in the middle, sticks up. So we're on the top floor up here looking out at the city of Cali, Colombia. Had her folks up there dancing with her mama. We took over the rooftop. We had a room on the 7th floor, and we took over the 1st floor. And all of her family showed up. Yeah, we owned the Hotel Metropolis for the night.
How'd you meet her?
Friend of mine went down there, met a girl. I said, dang, Kenny, why don't you find me one? And I forgot about it. Dang, he didn't come back a month later. He said, I found you one. I said, what are you talking about? He said, you told me to find you a girl. I was just full of hot air, Kenny. I mean, there's no, he showed me a picture. Said she's interested in you, and I saw her eyes, dreamy little eyes. I said, no, well, she's too young for me, so they marry older men. So she was 26, I was 51, and she turned me into a 40-year-old.
How
now
so?
We were married for 8 years. 7 years was a honeymoon, best honeymoon I ever had.
Really?
Finally, she met a guy with more money.
Oh.
Or willing to spend more on her, I don't know.
Too bad.
She's in Miami now, last I heard. But this...
how did you feel about that? Did that break your heart?
Oh, I've been married 3 times. I'm starting to get used to it.
Yeah.
I didn't get that broken heart this time. I mean, I was just fortunate to be with her for 7 real good years out of 8. Oh, she was a good wife. Looking back, my first 2 were mean. I probably deserved it. Anyway, I figured after I built this, I haven't been making art lately. I've been looking after Mom for 2 years, but yeah. I've got my bottom line desire, where do you want to quit? Got the biggest private sculpture park in the state. Where do I want to quit? I want to build, well, I'll tell you why. I was in Costa Rica on the beach buying trinkets for my relatives, little jewelry made out of seashells, and it was on a card table on a crushed velour, and the guy running a stand came up, and in perfect English he asked me, where are you guys from? I stuck my chest out and I said, Oklahoma. And he said, what is an Oklahoma? Well, that's the place where they had that Murrah building bombing. And he goes, place is getting blown up all over the world. It's kind of hard to keep track. I said, what else can I say? We got OU football. And he goes, soccer. I didn't know. I said, we're the state just north of Texas. And I'm not sure if he really understood, but the point being, a man in Costa Rica who spoke perfect English did not know what an Oklahoma was. And I figured, I've been thinking about how to change that ever since. I can put Oklahoma on the world map by building the world's largest sculpture park right here in Oklahoma, the last place you'd look for it. But $300 million worth of infrastructure is already finished. And I figured the road, Route 66 between Tulsa and Oklahoma is about 100 miles. You go half mile on either side, declare it a tax-free art zone, they will come. And then it'd take me $100 million. For only $100 million, I could build 50 visitor centers surrounded by sculpture parks. That way you could have the world's largest sculpture park and have all the artwork guarded and secured, because you have to. People come out here. I got to shut down from the public because they steal it, they copy it, they shoot it, they do graffiti on it, they litter on it, they drive on the lawn, they run into the art, they badmouth it on the way out, they let their kids climb on it, and they just 90% of the people come out here, drive on the yard. That particular sculpture on the corner is just to keep people from driving on that grass right behind your car.
Ah, okay.
I want to build the world's largest sculpture park. I haven't figured out how to do it, and I really don't have time because I'm busy looking after Mom. But
I want to get to the root of, where this started. So before you went to Nam, how did you're clearly creative. Where did this come?
Okay, going back to when I was 3 years old, I used to run away and go to Grandma's house. The bottom row in the icebox full of soda pop. For me, it's either apple or cherry pie. I could have either one anytime, 24/7. Well, I'm over there visiting Grandma one day, and the neighbors were painting the house next door. It was freshly painted white, and they were doing brown trim around the windows. And they went to lunch and left the paintbrush laying across the open paint can and a 3-year-old in the vicinity. And I put the coolest, I know I dropped one down, one row of wood down, but I did a nice pinstripe around the front and side of that. It needed a little something. And it was just as high as I could reach for a 3-year-old. I'd seen them painting, I painted a pinstripe all the way, and that was my first creation. And of course, Dad, I remember watching him paint over it. It took about 4 coats to paint over it. And I thought, what are you covering up my art, Dad? And the neighbors were screaming and hollering, and I got my butt whipped. And, it's just my first attempt at art. I got shut down. That one, boy, the paint's coming off. I call that too much cowbell. Let me show you my statue. There's one of me.
Oh, this one here.
That's the Western Welder.
Western Welder. I like that one. Oh, and you have the bandana around your neck also.
That bandana and several other pieces around here, a lot of flowers, came from a blown up armored car that I made for the movies. And then they blew it up. And I gathered up all the scraps, and I've been cutting out on it and making that's from the movie. What was that movie? Public Enemies, I think.
Let's see if I get the resemblance here. There you are. There it is. Yep, identical. That's nice.
That's set out front.
That's a friendly looking one.
I did Colorado Springs with that. Manitou, Colorado Springs.
Oh, okay.
Had him in the back of my truck.
Oh, Manitou Springs? Oh, I love that place. When you came back from Vietnam and started this welding and being creative, was that a way to cope?
I got PTSD. I guess maybe it was. You can't shoot people anymore. I'll do a quickie over here and show you what
Where you,
That's where I live now. Mom got sick a couple of years ago. I had to move in with her. Now I came right out here and started building this. Living in the city was not an option for me. I built that real quick. So Mom's in there right now, but that beauty. I got taken care of during the day.
So you, Eric, you know, you have to watch over most of the time.
Yeah.
What does she have any? What particular ailments does she have now that makes you have to take care of her?
She's 96 years old.
Oh, okay.
A little bit of Alzheimer's.
Okay.
No, I got that PTSD stuff diagnosed.
And does this help you?
Huh?
Does making this creations and
I went
sharing?
to a reunion one time and somebody said, "Here, sign my book." I said, "What are you talking about?" "You're in the book, man." "What book?" He goes, "There's a book called Ripcord by Keith Nolan, and you're in there." So I went and got a copy and I looked it up. Son of a gun, they wrote my story. They got it part way right, but they got my picture in there and a little bit about the action I was in on getting shot and all that stuff. Been 50 years, we can talk now.
Yeah.
You got PTSD as soon as you got off the plane. Smelled that burning shit, and that's what Vietnam smelled like. I was just a greeny grunt then until I got assigned to the 101st. I used that movie, The Band of Brothers, and I thought, that's my guys. I mean, I did good over there. She wasn't a blue star mom, she was a platinum. I got boxes every week. I'd get a quart of JD, Southern Comfort. I'd get salamis, squeezed cheese, Ritz crackers, sardines, the little chocolate cans of chocolate pudding. I was worried about getting mugged by my own guys when I got mail. Is it working?
It's working now. So I'll stay on it.
Where was I?
So
Where was I?
let's start. You said you called a man a nigger once.
Yeah. He come over. His teeth are chattering. He had only been in the country for a week. Lead flying all around him was pretty well scaring the crap out of him. High Rise Jones was his nickname. I had given him that nickname.
What was that again?
High Rise Jones.
High Rise Jones. Okay.
I'll explain that in a minute, but
all right.
He was my medic. He came over. He got all my web gear off of me and cut a hole in my pants here, cut my web belt off. He's picking shrapnel out of here from the pistol belt, and he's putting a bandage on this. That was ripped open down there and taking care of that. And I got him busy loading magazines in my rifle. Anyway, my medic is up there loading magazines. We got busy and switched to frags. So I got a hand grenade out. You got to pull the pin. Another thumb safety on it, and I did that. And I said, "Here, pull the pin." And he's on my left. He stuck his finger in there, and I reached out, and his arm just went limp. I pushed it back. I said, "Pull the pin." And his arm he's limp. He's in shock. And I thought, I need to get some pins pulled, and I need to throw some hand grenades, and we need to get busy. I said, "Pull the pin, nigger." You know what he did? He stiffened up. He was offended, highly offended. He got angry, and I jerked the frag out, and I said, "Now you got it." And I felt bad about calling it, but it pissed him off on purpose so he could get the pins out of them frags. I got my nickname. One morning I got up. We were in the jungle for about 3 days on a little knoll, perfect place for a Boy Scout camp out. Trees all cleared underneath, a little stream running around. I got up. Today was my day. I laid out my poncho, took my shirt off, put a brand new custom tailored, pressed army blouse on, pulled my pants off, got a new pair of pants, put on my Hollywood sunglasses, turned around, and while I was getting naked in the jungle, the whole company wondered what the hell's going on. See white legs in the green. They had crowned, the guys from the other side had come up to the top, God's doing something. And they crowned the top, and all around, and they're watching, and then I heard the words, "Hollywood, Hollywood, Hollywood." It's got my call sign. I had my cheap sunglasses and the fine look.
So your call sign was Hollywood.
Yeah.
Anyone still call you that?
I hadn't heard that in a while. I was working for the movies here a while back. They didn't call me that. They made a couple moves. I built an armored car for
the movies, you say?
For the Hollywood folks who, Teresa Russell and her gang blew it up. Public Enemies, Small Barker and the boys. It's been a fun career, and I tell you what, I'd like for people to see this. That's why I'm making the movie, I guess. People can see it, and they don't have to drive on my lawn, or if I don't say anything, I might not get to build the world's largest sculpture park. Come over here a minute before you take off and put your foot right there.
Right where?
On that step.
For what, man? Oh, there you go. I appreciate it.
Don't want to take these with you.
No.
That damn's a big shoe.
Yeah, it's size 13.
That's what I wear. Well, I'm glad you got to see it. If you're going around looking for novel places, I think you found one.
It most certainly, and I appreciate you inviting me out.
But
you got one last something, like, if you have to give one last statement to the viewers, what's one statement you can give them? Something.
Don't drive on my lawn.
All right, you heard him. You heard him. All right, I appreciate it, man. I really do.